Hello and welcome back to our basement, specifically the basement bathroom. Now it has been a long time since I've done anything in this bathroom, and probably let's see, when was it that we started working on this bathroom? It was in the winter, maybe like late winter, early spring. We started renovating this bathroom. We tore it completely down to the studs, built new walls, installed all new plumbing fixtures, installed a shower. We did a lot in this bathroom. It was a very technically involved project. Probably one of the most technically involved projects we've had so far in this house. And it's almost done. It is so close to being done. I just need to finish the ceiling and a few other small finishing details, touch-ups, painting, that kind of stuff. So one of the main issues that we have in this bathroom is there's still some stuff in the ceiling space that we're going to need access to. So whatever ceiling I put in here needs to be removable or kind of semi-permanent, easy enough to remove that if we ever did need to get into the ceiling space, it wasn't a huge ordeal. And we've also got some pretty big plumbing pipes from the upstairs bathroom that are protruding below where ideally the ceiling would need to be. So I had to kind of think around that. And the solution that I think I've come up with is to basically have two different levels of the ceiling. So on one side, it's going to be a little bit lower than it is on the side with the shower. When we were designing the shower, and looking for a glass shower enclosure for a small shower like this, a 3 foot by 3 foot shower basically, I was having a hard time finding ready-made glass that was short enough. So if we had wanted to do the ceiling all one height, or if it was like really important to us to do that, we could have gotten a custom shower glass. Technically, we still could trim down the shower glass that we have, but we really don't want to do that. And so for that reason, the glass is a little bit tall and we have just enough space to get the ceiling in there and have a little bit of space between the ceiling and the top of the shower glass. So there's just a lot of little things that we had to kind of work around in this space. But I think I've come up with a plan for something that's going to look nice, address all of these issues that we're facing here in this bathroom, and it's going to allow me to just get this thing finished. So if we go into the other part of our basement here, I think I've shown this before, but basically I'm going to be doing cedar plank on the ceiling, but I'm going to be trying to install it in a way that is removable. So I have some ideas for how to do that. So I've got my cedar plank here. I've got some 2x3s to use as basically furring strips along the joist to attach the cedar plank to. And then I've also got some trim, like some corner trim pieces to kind of make it look a little bit neater. And this may also act as a little bit of support system for the cedar plank. So I'm going to kind of experiment a little bit and see what I can do with this. I'm basically doing two ceilings in here. So this will be one ceiling, that over there will be another ceiling. And I think I want to basically attach it to the wall somehow and then have a centerpiece here that I can attach the boards to, the planks, the cedar planks. And then I'll have like a kind of a soffit structure over here that'll clear these. I just don't even know where to start. Go with sawdust again. This thing is so plain. Oh shit. I just kicked it. Gosh darn it. Maybe I shouldn't put it right in the middle of the floor where I'm working. Yeah. Okay, let's try something. So I'm basically just doing a proof of concept right now, just to see if this is gonna work. I'm also gonna go ahead and mark out where I want the little soffit to be. So I've got my laser level lined up. I'm just gonna mark all the joists where I need that to line up. Okay, I can put this thing away. So I cut some pieces of 2x3. You could do this with 2x4s too, but I do have a bunch of these 2x3s. And these pieces are gonna hang vertically from the joist like this. I've measured them out so that basically once I have everything connected, they'll be just below this pipe here. So I want to attach these to the sides of the joist, and then basically this is where the edge of the soffit's going to be. And then I've also got some of this corner trim. This is a PVC corner trim. They also have wood, and they have a PVC that is like pattern to look like wood. The ones that are wood are way more expensive. They're like very, very much more expensive than the PVC. But on the edges around the room, I'm gonna try this PVC and see if I can't screw it into the wall. And then this can act as a ledge for the panels to sit in along the edge of the wall. I'll probably just paint it the same color as the walls, like the dark blue of the walls. So basically I'm just designing my own suspended ceiling and trying to make it look a little bit cooler than your traditional suspended ceiling. So we'll see. I may end up going back and getting the wood version of these things if I feel like painting them isn't the right move. But anyway. Level, but this is just figuring things out. It's okay. And this is one of the cedar planks. These things are so light and they smell really good, and it's just like a tongue and groove cedar plank system. But I'm going to trim this down. I think this is going to work so well now that I've got it out of the package. It's super, super lightweight. So I'm going to trim this down to size just to kind of get my little mock-up done. So that's going to work, y'all. Yeah, I think that's gonna work just fine. And I originally put this centerpiece in here because I was thinking I might use it for some additional support in the center. These are so light. I mean, I just don't think it needs it. And I actually, at one point, had thought about using Velcro on the center just to kind of keep that from sagging. So if I ever do find that it's sagging, I can still do that. But I may not even need to do that. That's exciting. Okay. I think that is gonna freaking work. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll be honest, yesterday, well actually even before yesterday, I was kind of dreading starting this project because I thought it was going to be way more involved. Just doing that little proof of concept yesterday renewed my energy for this project so much. Probably the first thing I need to do before I really dive into this project is do a little dusting in the joists here. We just got a lot of little cobwebs and everything, and I think it'll just put my mind at ease to get that stuff out of there before I put the ceiling in. And then once I do that, I can start kind of setting up the soffit edge. Once I get the edge of that soffit kind of established, then I can start attaching the little corner trim piece around the perimeter of the room. So anyway, I'm going to work on that now, just kind of getting the framework set up for this ceiling situation. Then I'll have to kind of go back and figure out where I want the lights and the vent and that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I kind of have an idea for how I want to address that, but I'll know for sure a little bit later. I don't know what that was, but it was gross. Ah, shucks, man. I need a clamp. All right, so I found a better, taller tripod for my laser level, even though I still have to put it on this little table. But I set up the laser level so that the top is level. I don't know if you can even see the line, but basically level with this trim piece that I put up here. So this is going to be the level of the higher ceiling. So when I'm attaching all of my trim pieces, I'll make sure to attach them along that line. And then over here, now I've got those lines on the little studs that I attached to the joists. And I just want to put a piece of the cedar plank all along here to create the front edge of the soffit. I think I'm just going to glue it to these because I don't really want to have exposed screws, and it's so light, I just don't think it needs much to hold it up there. I'd like for the lower ceiling to be on top of this piece of trim here, because that would kind of clear a lot of things across the top. So for my high ceiling, we're looking at about 2.5 inches. I want to have it hang down a 1/2 inch lower than this piece. I'll have a trim piece that attaches to basically the edge of the soffit here, like so, all along this length, and then my boards on this side can sit in there. And it will kind of sit below this piece of stud here. And then that can also sit here. We'll say 2 3/8. So this needs to be 2 3/8 inch wide. I'll have to just trim this down on my table saw. I don't really like using my table saw. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Okay. We just got the roof on our pole barn replaced because a tree fell on it last year. It took us a year. Gosh, I got a spider web on my face. It took us a year to find a contractor that would do the work. So now our pole barn is fixed, and eventually, after we get our final inspection, I'm gonna be moving everything out of this room and into our pole barn and use that as our workshop, because this space is just not really great for woodworking, and I really wanna clean this space up and make it like a nice space to sit, you know, kind of in between indoor and outdoors. But for now, this is what we're working with. Okay, I picked up some Gorilla Heavy Duty Construction Adhesive, and I'm just gonna put a little bit on the ends of all of these hanger pieces, and then I'm gonna glue a piece of this cedar to that. All right, put a little bit on the end here because I'm not gonna be able to get behind. Then I just want to line the top of this up with my laser line. I need to clamp that too. Please don't fall. Whoop, there we go. That's a good catch. I really need more clamps, but I'm just gonna have to make do with what I got. Got this one at an antique store. You can tell. All right, I'm gonna let that set up for a little while. I need to put one of those angle or one of those corner trim pieces along this wall. So the tile is about a 1/4 inch kind of out from the drywall. So I've got a little 1/4 inch strip here that I'm gonna put behind that on the drywall part, because I've got a strip that's just gonna go the whole length here. So on this side, I'm gonna screw it in. And then here, I think I'm gonna use the construction adhesive on the tile, because I really don't wanna have to screw through the tile. Worst case scenario, if I ever need to take this down, I can scrape it off the tile, but I don't want to put a bunch of holes in the tile. So I went ahead and put my screws in, so it'll be easier to put them in once I get up here. Okay, cool. I just have to admire my work here, getting the two sides of this thing level. I put a board up here in the shower just to make sure I would clear this pipe, but look at that laser line, y'all. I'm impressed with myself right now. So yeah, this is definitely gonna clear everything. Very, very happy about that, yay. I think it is safe to move the laser level now and get it out of here. I'll have to reset it when I do the other side, and now I can kind of get in here and do some more stuff. So I'm gonna get this out of here. Save myself some trouble later. I actually am gonna go through and nail these. And I'm gonna put the nails at a point where they're gonna be hidden behind the trim, because I took the clamps off and then like the glue wasn't completely dry yet. This stuff says it's meant for wood, and it says it has a 30-second hold. I've used this stuff before and it does not have a 30-second hold. I've used it in like an upside down application and now a vertical application, and it has never held within 30 seconds. So that's kind of annoying. Anyhow, I'm gonna put some nails in this just to keep it, because I need to keep moving and I gotta get these clamps off of here. So I'm not gonna be able to get back there. That's okay. Oh yeah, I ain't going nowheres. Ain't going nowhere, hopefully. I really probably could have just used wood glue. Honestly, that would have been just as good and probably a little bit stronger hold. Live and learn. While I wait for that to set up a little bit more, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the planks for that one side, the side that goes over the shower. So I've got about probably 40 planks to cut. Should go pretty fast because they're mostly all the same size. So I'm gonna batch cut all the planks, and then I can at least get that side of the ceiling in, kind of start getting a feel for where I want to put lights and that kind of stuff. I had to stop because I've got a light here. This is going to be taken out and I'm going to actually have some recessed lights. But you can see now how the ceiling is starting to come together. It's looking so good. Oh my gosh. Over here, I'm not super thrilled with how crooked this is, but my tile job was a little crooked right here. But I'm actually going to caulk under there, so it's not going to be as noticeable how kind of far off the wall that is. And I'm hoping that I'll just leave this white and it'll just kind of blend in with the shower area. And then from here over, I'm going to paint it the same color as the wall. So I've got my level set up with the bottom of this soffit piece here so that I can find that location on the other walls. And I'm gonna put some of that corner trim as a track on a few of the walls. I don't have to do all the walls, I just have to do it on the ones where the plank is perpendicular to the track. So it'll be basically the same step. I'm just gonna go around, install the corner trim in those locations, and then I'll cut the planks to fit. It's going to be a little bit trickier to cut the planks on this side because I do have a couple of angled walls and I'm going to have to kind of work around a few more things. This side was just pretty much a straight wall for the most part. So it's going to be a little trickier over here, but it's basically the same concept. Oh, my battery on that thing just died. Okay, we're still good. All right, so now I can attach this corner piece to the soffit edge. I think I'm just gonna use wood glue for this. I think it's gonna hold it just fine. It's pretty lightweight. I just need to check my length on this. Yeah, that's gonna work. So I'm going to attach the corner trim to the bottom of this soffit piece, and then all of my boards can sit on this little lip here, created by that. So I think when I'm cutting these planks, it might actually be a little easier than I thought, because I'll cut the first one, which is 26 inches long on the shortest side, and I'll cut that 45-degree angle on one end. And if my measurements are correct, I should just be able to measure that long end after I cut the 45 to cut the next piece. Cut that one 45, measure the long end to measure the next piece, and so on. So I'm gonna try that for a couple pieces and see if that concept works. And if it does, I'll continue cutting all the pieces. That way I don't have to keep running up and down our stairs. I'm a lot of breath, running back and forth between the basement and the sunroom. So let's just see how that goes. So to get the last boards in kind of close to this wall, it's a little bit tricky and space is tight. Luckily I have a little bit of space above this ceiling to kind of maneuver this. So I found that I can just kind of put these in here and tilt, like rotate it back so that I can at least get the length in there. And then I can put it in. I'm gonna have one really narrow piece by the wall, I think. Oh, I don't know, actually, it might be pretty close. I need to just trim this one down a little bit. Oh man, it's just frustrating because it's almost perfect, but this wall is crooked. All right, so it's a couple days later and I want to start working on the lighting layout in this bathroom. The first thing I'm gonna need to do is actually remove this light. Oh my gosh, I just like blinded me looking at that thing. First thing I need to do is remove this fixture that's already in here so that I can finish the layout of the ceiling and make sure I get all the planks where I want them. And then once I get all those planks in, I can kind of measure out where I want the fixtures, mark the planks, and then I'm gonna have to modify a few of the planks, like maybe connect a few of them together permanently to support the fixture and the fixture housing. Now the fixtures that I'm gonna be using are these low profile recessed fixtures. So they go in the ceiling like this, they can go in really narrow spaces, and they have these little junction boxes that you can attach to the structure in the ceiling, and all the connections for the lighting are in there. Now I'm gonna be adding a fixture. I'm gonna be adding at least one fixture to this circuit, and I'm not gonna go into great detail about how I'm doing that because I'm not an electrician and I don't think you should take advice from me, but I have done some research on how to do this. It seems like it's pretty straightforward, and if you wanna know how to do it yourself, you can just Google how to add a light to an existing circuit. So that's what I'm gonna be doing here. I'm basically gonna be like daisy chaining these fixtures together on one switch. And then once I have this box attached to the joist and connected, I can just attach the two ends together and then we'll have a light fixture. And I think these are just gonna be so much nicer than the exposed bulb that is in here right now, and hopefully a little bit easier on the eyes. So anyway, I'm gonna get started on that. So I pulled down the panel that I marked for the light fixture and two on either side because the light fixture is going to be about 6 inches circle that I need to cut out of this, but I need to reinforce this so that it all stays together. So I'm just going to take some scraps and glue with wood glue and clamp those to the boards to hold them together. I'll do that on either side here, and I'll do the same thing for the one that's going to go over the shower. I'm just going to reinforce these, and then these will go back up into the ceiling as a whole piece that I can put the light into. So while I wait for that to dry, I'm just going to start installing the fixtures. They have this little box here. I'm just going to attach this to the joist, and then the light will hook up to this inside this little junction box. Then this piece connects to the light. So I'll just get it as close as I can to where the light fixture is going to be. And I'm going to install it like this. I'm also using these little Wagyu, what are they called? They are Wago. These little Wago connectors, they're just really easy for installing fixtures instead of using the little screw caps. I feel like these are just a little more secure and a little more foolproof. So anyway, I'll just connect black to black, white to white, and I'll go ahead and also connect ground to ground. All right, let's see if they work. Woo, yeah! Now I can start cutting the holes for the lights. breaker's back on. Nice. Gonna change the temperature of that one. These lights, you can change the color temperature so you can make them warmer or cooler. This one's kind of in between. That one's a little bit warmer. I just need to adjust it in the box. But that is cool. I also want to put a dimmer switch in here just to kind of, you know, make it a little bit of a spa mood in here. Oh God, really just cracked that. I got another one. All right, let's try this again and not crack it this time. Okay, so we have made a lot of progress in this bathroom, and now I'm getting down to the finishing touches, doing some touch-up paint, you know, installing the HVAC vent. I will have a fan that's gonna go in here, and that should arrive tomorrow, and I can work on installing that. So while I'm waiting on that, I'm gonna do some touch-up painting. I wanna paint all of the tracks that I installed for the ceiling, that corner trim. I wanna paint that the same color as the wall so it kind of just blends into the wall. I was gonna do some caulk around those, but I think I'm gonna skip that, and I'm gonna see how it looks without it. I don't know if it's gonna be necessary, because that's easy to add later. I could come back in later and do that and then touch it up if I need to. And then of course I have to go around and sand all of my holes that I filled on the trim and on the shelving unit, and then paint the shelf and the trim. Once I get through those things, we'll be pretty close to being done with this space. All right, I got the fan heater light combo installed. We don't have power to this yet because we have to get a dedicated circuit, so we're gonna call an electrician to help us with that. And then there's also some other stuff up here that we kind of want to ask him about. So I got it installed, so it's ready to go. I just got to get electricity hooked up to it. I also put some blocking here for behind the mirror so that it pulls the mirror off the wall a little bit so that we can plug it in to this outlet that we have behind the mirror. I'm just kind of bumping it off the wall a little bit so I can plug it in back behind there. And I also installed the HVAC vent, so that is good to go. All right, the basement bathroom is mostly done. There's a few little tiny small things I need to do in here, just a few little touch-up things, and honestly, I'm just tired and I don't feel like doing it, and I want to get this video done, but it's pretty much done. We worked so hard on this bathroom, and it has been months in the making. We did take a few months off during the summer, but it feels good to finally have this finished. And I love how the ceiling turned out. And my husband was the one that really pushed really hard to have a ceiling that was removable in here. Originally, I thought, gosh, it's just gonna be really tough to do that. But it ended up not being that tough at all, and I love the way this turned out so much. Now, cedar is used a lot in, I think, saunas and some bathrooms and that kind of thing. It's naturally mold and mildew resistant, it's pest resistant, so it's a great type of wood to use in a bathroom setting. It smells amazing. Like working on this project, I mean, our basement's kind of dusty and old, and it definitely improved the smell down here a lot. So it was actually really nice to work with this material. I'm also really curious to see how this holds up to moisture when it comes to warping, because the boards are so thin. If it does start to warp over time from the moisture, then I can either replace it with more cedar planks. These were pretty affordable. Or I can pick another material that's going to be a little bit more moisture resistant. I also did a little bit of research about sealing the cedar, and everything I read says you don't have to seal it, and it's actually not a good idea to seal it in an application like this, so I'm going to leave it unsealed. These lights are also rated for use in a shower. They can be right up against insulation and other building materials, and they are LED fixtures, so they don't get really hot at all. Yeah, it's not even hot. Now I have a whole playlist on this bathroom renovation. If you want to go check that out, I'll put a link to that down in the description. I'll also try to remember to link the products that I used in this bathroom for the ceiling. I was looking at a lot of different material ideas for something like this, and the cedar seemed like it was the most affordable. And it's also really, I think it's really beautiful. It's a really, really nice material, and bringing the warmth of that wood down to this cold basement, I think was the right move. For the art that I put in this room, the print that I put over the toilet is a print that I picked up at a garage sale for like $1. And then the print on the wall behind me here next to the mirror, I just printed that off of Etsy. It was a seller that sells just digital prints that you can print at home. So I'll put a link to their shop in the description below as well. They had some really fun prints in there. And next up is going to be the rest of this basement. Behind the camera here, it is a hot mess down here. So I think either this weekend or next week, I'm going to start cleaning out the basement and try to get at least this side of the basement completely cleared out so that we can start doing renovations down here, because I am ready to tear up the basement and rebuild it. And doing this bathroom has given me so much energy for another renovation project. So it's a good feeling, and I love this stuff. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you are interested, I also have a Patreon page. I'll put a link to that down in the description if you want to further support the channel. And if you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to subscribe. Hit that little bell icon. That way you'll be notified when I release new videos in the future. And yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!